Hey guys, it's Penguin here, and welcome back to another gold making video. In this video, we're going to be talking about 5 of my personal favorite and the crafted transmog that I recommend to you if you're starting to get into that marketplace. So all of these items are very easy to get, as in they require no really long grinds. They also are generally pretty easy to craft, and they generally have a pretty high sell rate as well. So I've picked out 5 items that meet all 3 of those requirements, and we can get right into this list. But as always, if you guys enjoy this content, feel free to like and possibly subscribe if you want to see more. But here is the first item. The first item comes from Vanilla Tailoring, and this is the Shadow Weave Mask. Now, the reason why this is on the list is that it has a very, very high sell rate at about a 0.11 the last time that I looked. And the reason for that is that it has a pretty cool transmog just on its own. It looks really, really nice. But it's also used as a needed item for the questline in Legion if you're trying to get the special Lucid Nightmare mount. So the best thing about that is not only is it cool that some people might just want to collect it, it also has a utility factor, which brings up that sell rate quite a lot. So in order to obtain this item, you have 2 different options. The first one is that you can simply buy the pattern off the auction house. So this is a farmable recipe that is not BOP, so technically people could have farmed this, posted it on the auction house, and you can simply buy it. So if you're somebody who doesn't really want to take the time to farm for the RNG factor, then of course you might have to pay, 10 to 20,000 gold, but that saves you a ton of time, so you can buy it off the auction house. If not, you will have to go to Searing Gorge, and around the center of the zone, there are the Steamsmiths. So it's a pretty high drop chance. I believe it took me like 20 minutes of killing in order to get all the recipes, or for the recipe to drop, and you just go around that area, kill all the Steamsmiths, and you will eventually get it. And a quick tip for y'all, if you are trying to craft this item, Shadow Silk is probably the hardest item that you need to obtain on the list. And some servers, if the Shadow Weave Mask is not very popular with all the rest of the crafters, you might be able to pick up really, really cheap Shadow Silk, which if you can, definitely take advantage of that. But if for some reason you either don't have any on the auction house, or it's just way too expensive, you can go into the lower Black Rock Spire, just go up to the spider area, kill all the spiders, and then leave and reset. I believe it takes me like 25 to 30 minutes in order to do 10 runs of that, and you get enough silk for plenty of masks, as long as you're lucky. So that is my tip for y'all, but Shadow Weave Mask is one of my personal favorites. Moving on, we have an item from Vanilla Leatherworking, which is the Warbear Woolies. So the reason why this has a very high sell rate is because, as you guys know, this is a transmog set that is very revealing on our characters, so a lot of people enjoy using those as their transmog. And honestly, this is probably my personal favorite out of all of these on the list. The reason for that is that they are generally really easy to craft, and they sell very, very fast, especially on my server. I can sell them for about 25k a piece, and that's about 10k profit or so, sometimes 15k profit if I can get some really cheap leather. But in order to obtain this item, you do need Friendly with the Timber Maw hold. However, that is very simple to do. All you have to do is complete a handful of quests. So I will say now, since all of these items I've had actually made a previous video on, so if you do want a guide to show you exactly what quests you need to turn in, it should take you less than 15 minutes. If you go onto my channel, or I will leave it in the description, I have an old playlist of all of my pre-Shadowlands videos, which I dedicated a video per crafted transmog, and actually everything on this list has a video for itself. So for the Shadow Weave Mask and everything that we talked about, if you would like an in-depth step-by-step guide to actually obtain the item, you can go there. But you simply just start the quest line in Winter Spring, do a few handful of quests, then you're Friendly, and you're good to go. The only downside is that you do need warbear leather, which can be very expensive on your server if there's not a ton of farmers. But of course, you can farm it yourself if that's something you would enjoy. Then moving on, we have the Phantom Blade, which is probably the best vanilla blacksmithing item that is currently selling for me on my server. The reason for this is that it looks very, very unique and it's a very nice transmog. A picture will be on screen, and it's relatively simple to actually obtain. So sadly, it does depend on RNG, as it is a drop from the Banshees inside of Stratholme. And out of this list, it is probably the lowest drop rate, so you will have to probably be in Stratholme for quite a little bit if RNG is not on your side. I believe I got the recipe after a few resets of the dungeon, but relatively it's very simple to do. You simply go in a circle, kill all the Banshees, reload, do that until you lock out, and you might have to do a few lockouts depending on your RNG. But very simple to craft once you have the recipe, and it's one of my favorites. Then the last two items that we have are technically a set, and these are the Leatherworking styling hats. Now there are actually 4 of these styling hats, but in this video I want to highlight 2 of them, which are the simplest to obtain. And this is the Adventure hat, as well as the Crimson styling hat. So both of these are RNG drops, kind of like the mask and the blade, but honestly, they are pretty fast to get. So, like I said, I have videos on these if you want my specific route that I do. All of that, you can find that in the playlist. But for the Crimson hat, that is probably the easier one to get, and you will have to go to Sethic Halls and kill all of the Sethic Raven Guards. So there's only a few of them in the dungeon, so you will have to go and find them. I believe there's 4 to 6 of them. Kill them, then you have to run out and reset. But of course you can farm it for other transmog if that's something you want to do. But that one is probably the easier one to obtain compared to the adventure one. So this one, yet again, is another RNG, and you will have to go to the Foothills Fortress inside of that instance, hopefully kill some guards, and grant it. I believe that one took me about an hour to actually get from all of the resetting and respawning that needed to happen. But both of them look very cool. They are the cool looking fedoras, if you guys are not familiar with them. So of course, your ultimate goal could be to collect all 4, but I wanted to highlight these 2 because they're just very easy to get, as in, it's just a simple RNG drop that hopefully you'll be lucky to obtain. So that is kind of this list. This is a shorter video, but I just wanted to show you guys these 5 items. Personally, to this day, I still have at least 2 of these posted up on the auction house at all times, and they do very well. If you guys are wondering, like, alright, I don't have any of these professions leveled, but I want to get into it, what would be your order of preference? I would highly recommend doing the Warbear Woolies, then the Shadowweave Mask, then the Phantom Blade, and then the Styling Hats, preferably the Crimson, and then the Adventure. That's generally what I would do because the Warbear Woolies sells very fast, and it is non-RNG, simply just a few quests that you have to complete. Then the Shadowweave Mask, since it's very easy to obtain the recipe, you can either purchase it, or you do have to do a little bit of RNG, but it probably is it's probably the fastest or the highest drop rate on this list. And then the Phantom Blade, and then the Styling Hats, because that's a little bit less likely in terms of a drop rate. So that would be my personal preference, but of course do this however you'd like for whatever professions you have. But thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what your favorite Crafted Transmog are, and if you have any questions about them, feel free to let me know. But thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, have a good day.